Welcome to Space Between Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates. All right. So, as you can see, we've changed the background once again. Hopefully, this will be kind of the constant background for a little while. I guess we will see. We have a great show organized for you today. Today is day 41. We will continue to talk about. You can see myself in my glasses. We will continue to talk about state styles. All right, so let's just do a quick review. All right, so look, all right, so basically what happened was we started talking about this area, which is nil, deferred doing. All right, so this is a style of work where you don't do anything at all. You can ask yourself, like, what are the things that I should be doing, but I'm not doing? Or you could ask yourself, what are things that I'm not doing, that I'm doing, but I should stop doing? The second one here is haphazard. So this is called meander while doing. And meander while doing, it's like when you start doing a project and you are just trying to figure things out. You may choose this style, or you may be forced to have this style. Or maybe you have like a set routine and you want to mix things up a little bit. All right, so now over here, this is what we're going to talk about today. So today we're going to talk about tentative. Tentative means to experiment with a process. We experiment with one process, we experiment with another process. And basically that process gets us to the result that we want. This, maybe it gets us to our result. Hopefully it does. And this, maybe our result is that we want to wind down something or that we want to start something. So at this point, we got to move from one box to another. All right, now let's talk about some of these boxes, okay? So we talked about state synergies in the past. Remember state synergies? So we have our customers, we have our providers, we have our peers, and we have a change over time. So think about like if you want to go into new markets, all right? So you could try to meet customers from a new market. Maybe you have, well, if you're just starting it from beginning, uh, if you haven't done it yet, then you're at nil. But then when you start trying to meet customers and trying to understand a new market, then you're going to be doing things haphazardly. Or maybe you meet some providers or some distribution channels. You can try different distribution channels. Maybe you want to talk about inventiveness. All right, so when we talk about inventiveness, like think about words like imitate. All right, so imitate, we can imitate the products of one company, we could imitate the methods of another company, we can try experimenting with different methods, or we could just like throw a bunch of ideas together and see how they fit together. All right, how about integrate? So when you are trying to help your customers integrate their products, or you're trying to integrate your products with your customers, you may already have some process, but you might want to experiment with that process. You might want to mix things up. Or maybe you have a competitor's product that is currently integrating with a customer that you would like to sell to, and you want to figure out how to wind down that relationship that your prospective customer has with your competitor. How about ignore? So ignore, it's like maybe you were experimenting with some kind of innovative process and like you say, let's just not do that. All right? Or maybe you didn't have any innovative process at all, but now you want to move over to the state inventiveness checklist where you are using, different processes. Or maybe you have your own process. Maybe you have some new idea for how you could innovate. All right, so how about state progress? So that's another checklist. How about like maybe you have some kind of activity that you are now performing, and maybe you just realize that you're not doing it very well, and you just decide to wind down that activity. Or maybe there's some activity that you'd like to engage in, but it's going to take some time before you're able to really work that in to a system. All right, how about assumptions? So we talked about assumptions where we are trying to get new information. So how about like just jumping on the internet and trying to figure out some kind of new information source that you never thought about before. Or maybe you're going to hire, you look at a couple of different guys who are providing research. You have research from one firm and you have research from another firm. You can kind of compare those two different processes and see what kind of information is better. All right, so there you go. That's how you can start to put these checklists together. So of course we've covered the endeavor elements, which I didn't talk about today, but we have state synergies, state inventiveness, state progress, state assumptions, and now state styles. And you've been able to see how you can take these different work styles and apply them to some of the other checklists. All right. So today, I guess that was a pretty long review, but today we're going to talk about this one. All right. So this is tentative. It means experiment with a process. Now, obviously, experimenting with the process, we're talking about, it depends. I mean, you could have a process for anything. Like I was thinking about, like what does it mean to really be successful? And sometimes you listen to these motivational audio clips, and people basically say that successful people are able to make a little bit of progress each day. And sometimes you can't really see the progress because they just make a little bit of progress every day. But since they make that progress every single day, they, 1 week goes by and you look and you're like, wait, it's like a marathon, they just keep on trucking away. They keep on going. And if you sit by a tree and take a rest, like the old turtle and the hare, then you'll find that they might be just way out in front of you. And then you try to catch up and, it's like, no, that's not the way to do it. Like in some respect, you kind of have to make yourself into a robot. Like the nil, the first day, you can't just do nothing and think that you're gonna build a business or be successful. You got to do something. And being haphazard to some extent, if you don't know what else to do, that's a good start. But really, eventually, you need to start experimenting with a process. All right, so like effectiveness. You try process number 1. Is it effective? You try process number 2. Is it effective? All right, so what process do you have that allows you to be more effective? Is that a time of day when you work? Is that people that you like to work with? Is that some kind of diet that you have taken into your life? Is that some exercise? Is that some kind of computer program? Is that some kind of like project management software? Is that a coach? Like what is it that helps you become more effective? How about efficient? So you can try efficiency in one way. You have like one plan, you try it this week, and then after 1 week, then you look at your plan again. Remember the old, I haven't talked about this for so long. What about the old Stephen Covey, sharpen the saw? Sit down at the end of the week and say, this is the process that I wrote down. So on the right hand, so let's say you have like a piece of paper, and on one side of the paper, you can write down like, these are the things which I'm going to do this week. And then you just write them all down. And then you draw a line in the middle, and on the other side, you write, these are the things which I have done this week. And then, so each day when you start doing things, just write it down. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? So at the end of the week, you have like, what was my plan? And what did I do? That is one process. And then on the following week, you can then take these items, throw them back onto the one side, decide what you want to do for the following week, and then as the week goes by, write down the things that you actually do. So these are some of the ways that you can apply this checklist. How about capability? All right, so maybe you try one employee on a process, and then the next week you try another employee on the process and see who has more capability. Maybe you try one tool in the process or one software in the process, or maybe you can try both processes at the same time and see which process is more effective, or which software or process is more capable. How about flexibility? All right, so we try one method, we try working with certain people, we try working with certain times of the day, we try creating certain types of teams, we try certain kinds of methods, And do we have the flexibility that we need to succeed? And then we try another way. So this is like the difference between haphazard. Obviously, like nil is like, it's a whole different category. The difference between haphazard and experiment with the process, it's maybe it's not different at the beginning, because haphazard, as you can see, there's arrows kind of going everywhere. Those are all different types, almost like a process or pieces of a process. Eventually, you want to put that process, you got to write it down. And then as you work with that process, then you're going to see how you can start to make adjustments. And those adjustments are going to take you into what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in to Space Between Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates.